Hello everybody, happy Monday. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend and did some relaxing. I know I got a bunch of assignments turned in late, so in theory, your grades should be updated. Okay, I'm still working on getting the comparing governments assignment into the gradebook. It's graded, it's just not in the gradebook yet. So what I want everybody to do really fast before we even get started talking about what we're doing today, which is development, I just want you guys to take a look and double check your grades and make sure that if you turn something in, the grade has been updated. I know I was talking with one student and she's like, I turned in a bunch of assignments, but she didn't hit submit or resubmit. So I didn't get a notification. So she had to go back, like I went in and double checked it, but she also went back in and turned stuff in as well. Okay. So again, please, if you are doing late work or you're doing corrections or whatever you're doing, make sure you hit that resubmit button because that will send an email to me letting me know that I have this stuff to grade. Okay. But that's pretty much my housekeeping today. Y'all have been doing really good about getting stuff in, and I'm super appreciative of that, and thank you for being patient with me as well, okay? Of course, if you guys have any questions about your grades, please reach out to me, but again, don't ask me what your grade is because I want you to go to your student self-serve and try and figure that out on your own, okay? If you try and do that and you still have problems, you are more than welcome to let me know, but again, I want to have you guys start working on figuring that stuff out for yourself, okay? So that is all I have for housekeeping. Like I said, what we are doing today, talking about a material world. Okay, now this is a test grade, so I want you to do your best. I want you to try on this. You can't just give me a bunch of BS answers. Okay, so what it is I have a Google slide of a whole bunch of families all over the world who were asked to pull all of their belongings out of their house for a picture. Okay, now one thing I want you to realize is that these pictures are about 20 years old, okay? It's not, it wasn't something that they did pre-pandemic. It was something that happened a long time ago, okay? So keep that in mind. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna study these pictures and you're gonna look at what these families have and what the differences are, okay, and what that could mean. Then I have a material essay is what it's called, and there are two topics, and you only have to pick one, okay? Now, you can either pick number one, which is to choose one poster from a family living in a culture and environment very different from your own, okay? You're going to compare and contrast your lifestyle, possessions, and home with theirs. So what that means is you're comparing your life to somebody else's, okay? One thing I forgot to say is I need 5 sentences or more. I need at least 5, okay? You can give me more, that's perfectly fine, but I need at least 5, okay? If you do not give me 5 sentences, I am not going to give you full credit. I need 5 sentences, I need a paragraph, okay? Please try and use correct grammar and punctuation. One of the things that I like about doing these assignments on the computer is if you type a word wrong, well then, you can go to spelling and grammar. Maybe you can. Document looks good. What on earth? I'll fix this for y'all. Okay, y'all. So I think what the issue is just the way that I had it set up. What happens when you type in a word that is incorrect? It will have these dots underneath it. Or it'll have, a red squiggly line underneath it, and it will say, did you mean, and it'll give you a suggestion, okay? I just think I can't do it because of the way that you guys can edit this document. But so that'll happen if you have a misspelled word. And if you ever see those red squiggly lines, I want you to click on it and I want you to make that correction, okay? There's no reason that I should see that because, you know, it's right here. It's easy for you guys to do. Sorry, I just am curious about what that button meant. The other way we can do it, the other option is to choose one family that lives in a city and one family that lives in a countryside. Compare and contrast their homes, possessions, work, recreation, and overall lifestyles. So you're pretty much doing the exact same thing, except instead of comparing your life to somebody else's, you're just comparing two people's lives, okay? So let's take a look at these videos, or these pictures. So this dude in the middle, he's the one who took all these pictures. Can I move this? Maybe? Oh no, I just need to. Are they gonna go away? Yes. So these are the countries we have. Again, you can either pick one or two, depending on which one you're gonna do. But so the first one is Bhutan, and it's gonna show you where it is. And it's gonna give you some background information. So it's a small mountainous country with traditional agricultural lifestyle. So that means it's gonna be a primary economic activity. Oops. And then it's going to have a lot of social, medical, and environmental difficulties because of the fact that it's so small and the fact that it's in such a mountainous area. Now here's our family, okay? So I want you guys to take a look at all the things that are going on in here. So you can see, you know, they don't really have a house that looks like what we have here, okay? You can see there are some holes in the roof. They're doing hunting and not hunting, but gathering. You can see that here. And you can see here that they have a lot of, you know, gold. And the reason for that is it's going to be part of their religion, okay? You can see that there are some people working in the background, that they have cattle. It looks like cows and some goats. And you can see that they're not near anybody else, okay? They're really far away from everybody. Next, we have Cuba, which is south of Florida. So it is an island country in the Caribbean. It's going to be a major sugar producer. And as a result, it's going to have a lot of descendants of slaves, okay? And then it's not currently, but it was run by a dictator, Fidel Castro. So here we have this family, and you can see, you know, they pulled everything out. So their houses look a little run down, but, you know, they don't have holes in them like the roof like the other place did. They don't have a yard, okay? There's probably not very much privacy because you can see here they all share a wall, okay? And you can see here that, you know, this isn't just mom, dad, and the kids. This looks like mom, dad, maybe brother, sister, maybe parents. There's a lot of people in here, okay? Look at their cars, okay? Even though this was 20 years ago, those are still old cars. And they still look pretty nice, too, okay? One thing the kids always like to say is, look how many TVs they have, because they do have quite a few TVs. But they, you know, they pulled everything out, and you can see everything they have here. Next is Mali. So Mali's an African country. It used to be very, very rich because it had a lot of resources like gold and salt, and it's very strong culturally. However, as we've moved forward, it has become very poor, okay? But again, once a very wealthy kingdom. So taking a look at this. You can see their houses are made out of, you know, probably that dried clay mud. You can see here that they probably fish or do something here. We have a woman over here with some kids, but we also have, you know, a bunch of kids here. And, you know, Mali is a very Muslim country, and this might be a man with his 3 wives, which isn't something all Muslims do, but historically in Africa it has been, okay? You can see here they don't have a lot of stuff, but you can see they have a bike. There's no place to put a car here. And I want you to think about what you think this is for, okay? Maybe about what these people are doing back here. Probably the same thing. You can see they dry their clothes over here. And, they don't have a lot of things, okay? And a lot of these things are going to be used for multiple things. They can be used to carry food, laundry, water, all sorts of different things. Next, we have Kuwait, which is a tiny, tiny country in the Middle East. Now, Kuwait is going to be surprisingly wealthy because of oil, okay? Petroleum is the same thing as oil. And because of our dependence on oil, it is going to have flourished in the 20th century. So that's what makes it so rich, okay? However, they did have a lot of damage due to the 1990 Iraq invasion, because Iraq is going to be over right above it, okay? So this is one that the kids always get a kick out of, okay? So there's a lot going on here. Like, look at this couch. Can you imagine having, where do you even put this? Okay? So their house is this one right here. It's not this. Their house is this one right here. Think about what it means they have this giant thing on it, okay? They have 4 cars. They have a bunch of bikes. They have this giant couch. I don't even know where you'd put that. They have 2 tiger rugs, okay? Think about what the weather's like. We have some palm trees here, okay? It's kind of hard to see, but it also looks like this is an extended family. You have a group of people over here and a group of people over here. And just think about how much stuff that, they literally pulled everything out of their house. You have their beds, their couches, some more beds over here, okay? Next, we have South Africa. Now, South Africa is obviously in the south of Africa, okay? It's got a lot of minerals, like Mali. Now, the issue with South Africa was they had something called an apartheid, okay? So even though South Africa is in Africa, and you would historically think that it was run by, Africans, until the apartheid, nope. Until, regaining my thoughts. South Africa had a large issue of being controlled by other countries. So there's a large white population in South Africa. And historically, Black South Africans were not treated the same way as white South Africans. Okay, so they had the apartheid, and we're going to talk more about this in a couple months when we talk about Africa, but the apartheid made it so that, Black South Africans could vote, or they could run for government, or they could do all this other stuff, okay? And so the picture we're looking at is going to be Soweto, which I believe is the capital, but it's also, or it's not the capital, it's a very dangerous city, okay? So you can see that by looking at this picture, because you can see, they have all of these fences, okay? And this one has, barbed wire on it. You'll notice there are no cars, okay? The houses all kind of look the same. They're not small, but they're not large either. And again, this probably is an extended family. We have mom, dad, grandparents, aunts, uncles, maybe, or aunts, maybe. And then you have 3 kiddos. We can see everybody here is walking. The kids are on bikes, but you don't see a car, okay? In the background, you can see these 2 buildings, okay, which had to do with water and stuff like that. And then you can also see the mountain range, okay? Again, take a look at the trees we can find here, what we think it all looks like. And then this is probably my favorite, is Mongolia. I'm a big Mongolian nerd because I like to read about Genghis Khan. But it's right above China, in between China and Russia. And I like Mongolia because it's very large. You can see that here. It's very large, but it has a very little population, okay? Mongolia actually has one of the lowest population densities on the earth, which means there's a lot of land, but not a lot of people. It was communist because, it was in between China and Russia, but it is now democratic. And then 1/3 of the people are going to be nomadic or semi-nomadic, which means that, they don't really have a permanent house. They move around. So 1/3 of people are nomadic or semi-nomadic, and then another third of people live in the capital city, and then that remaining 1/3 is just kind of scattered all over. Okay. So you can see here in the background that, they do have houses, but this family lives in what's called a yurt. And what it is you can pack this all up and move it. Okay. So we have, a sheep, which, we may keep for fur and milk or whatever, but we also may eat it for dinner. Okay. They have a TV, which means they have a generator somewhere, so they have power. But otherwise, it's not open to the elements. You can see here they have this fabric that goes over it, but they opened it up so that, they didn't really have to move anything out of their house because they could just pull it back and move it. In the background, here's what a yurt looks like when it's covered up. But again, you can see there's a lot of people here, but then we have a bunch of mountains, it's green. We don't have very much going on. Okay. Next, we have Japan. So Japan has some major changes in the past century. Most people are going to live in urban areas along the coast because Japan is actually quite mountainous. And there's going to be a lot of similarities, but also some major differences between Japanese and American families. So just taking this image, okay? There's a lot of stuff going on, okay? We can see, they have a lot of cars, or not cars, they have a lot of shoes. They have a washer and dryer. They're very proud of their washer and dryer. They're hanging up their clothes. They've got a TV. They even plugged the TV in so the little kid could watch it over here. They've got a bike. But they've got a lot of stuff, okay? Their house is 2-story, kind of narrow, but, it looks nice. It's kind of hard to see because they have this carport and the car inside of it, which is covering it. They have a bunk bed over here. They have this suit that they even hung up on everything, okay? Then we have Iceland. So Iceland is super developed, okay? It's really small. And Iceland is not actually full of ice. It's actually green. But it's small. It's an island. Okay. They've got a lot of natural energy, natural gases. Now, my favorite thing about this photo is, what if I told you this photo was taken at 4:00 in the afternoon? Actually, I think it was 1:00 in the afternoon. It's really early in the day, but you can see it's really dark out. Okay. And that's because they have such a high latitude. It's because they're so far north. You can see it's snowy. They live on the harbor. So they probably, you can guess that they make their money by fishing. Okay. You can see they have 2 horses, 2 very fluffy horses, 3 kids, and they're, obviously interested in music because this is front and center. Okay. You can assume their house is very well insulated because of how cold it is. They've got quite a few cars in the background. They have a quite bit of stuff, but it is all spread out. It's not like the previous home where it was all kind of squished in front of their house. They have a lot of land here that they can spread out on. Okay. Next, we have Thailand. Oops, sorry, keep that going. So Thailand was never colonized, which means that they have, they've run their country themselves for their entire nation. They have a relatively stable government. Their economy is growing. A lot of them are going to be Buddhist. Now, you can see here that they have some technology. The little boy is probably on a Game Boy or something. But, you don't, you do have a TV, but it's small, okay? You have a bunch of fans. Now, these nets over here, this is on top of a bed because they're going to have a lot of issues with insects and stuff, because you can see here, there's no glass on their windows. Okay. You can see here that they're also, and pretty much it looks like the middle of nowhere. You can assume they do some farming. Okay. They also have their chickens down here and their little coop thingy to show them off. But they do have a moped. The girl and the boy look like they're in uniforms. So, they go to school with uniforms. But I think that's pretty, yeah, it's just, yes, you can laugh about the dog. It's okay. Everybody does. Next, we have Samoa. So Samoa is this tiny, tiny, tiny little red dot that you probably can't even see. It used to be called Western Samoa, and they're going to have a very traditional culture with some modernization. But the picture we're looking at is going to be very traditional. Okay, they are very Christian, and this is what a normal average house looks like. So you can see there are no walls. Okay. And that is because it's going to be super hot, and so those breezes need to come in and cool that place down, okay? They don't have a lot of technology. In fact, you don't see any here. They have some pigs. They also have those nets because, again, there's no walls, there's no glass. You can see mom or grandma down here who is making this rug out of these banana tree peels, okay? There's a lot of gardening going on in the back. There's a lot of, they're in the middle. Again, it looks like they're in the middle of nowhere. And this is a very traditional Samoan house, okay? Kind of like Moana is what I always compare it to. And next we have Mexico. So Mexico is the world's largest Spanish-speaking country. They have a lot of industrialization, which means a big middle class. And people are increasingly moving to the cities. So you can see here, their house is going to be this one right here behind them. Mom, dad, I like how the TV is on the couch, but the child is like hanging off the side of it. But, they look very happy. And, we see all of their stuff, and they've moved it out. They've got a lot of bikes. I don't see a car, but they've got bikes for all the kids. They have beds, they have TVs, like there's 2 TVs here, and then, we've got this one on the couch, okay? But you can see here, they live in a city, everything's squished together. And then last but not least, we have the United States, which is obviously where we are, the 3rd largest country, the largest national economy, 3/4 Christian, and then I'll give you one guess and one guess only to guess where this family is from. And if you did not say Texas, you are lying, okay? So obviously they are from, well, not obviously, but they are from Texas. You can see here, dad's got his hat off. He's got a cowboy hat. Mom showing off her picture of Jesus. And you'll notice that they're actually on like a crane, okay? Because they had to be lifted up so they could show off their stuff. They've got a dog down here tied to the fire hydrant. They've got a wall of pictures they wanted to show off, a piano, a bunch of beds. They've got 2 cars. This is a fairly typical Texas home. A lot of the ones here in San Antonio are going to be double story, but this is typical Texas, okay? So yeah. I believe this is the last one. So you are either going to pick 1 or 2, and you guys have access to this PowerPoint. You're going to pick 1 or 2. You cannot compare this photo to your family, okay? You need to compare it someone who lives in like the country. So maybe you want to compare your family to the Samoan family. Or maybe you want to compare the Samoan family to the family in Mexico. That is completely fine, but just remember that I need 5 sentences, okay? Other than that, if you have questions, let me know. But otherwise, I will see you next class period. Have a good one, y'all.